humbly request all of you to be upstanding so that we can start with a word of prayer. May I invite now Madam Lynette Nunda to start us off the word of prayer. Excellencies, we're starting with a word of prayer. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all protocols observed. May we bow down our heads for a word of prayer. Father, mighty God in heaven, we come to you this evening full of thanksgiving and for this day, O Lord Father. In a very special way, we dedicate ourselves for the book launch of The Fight for Order this evening by Justin Muturi. As we sit here, may we have a moment of reflection about the book launch. This is my humble prayer. I pray trusting and believing in your holy name. Amen. Let's all sit down. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Lynette. Excellencies, may I very quickly appreciate the presence of the second Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, who is also the party leader of the Democracy for the Citizens Party, DCP. Thank you so much, Excellency, for making time to be here with us. May I also recognize and appreciate the presence of our chief guest today, who is also the former Vice President of the Republic of Kenya and also the party leader of the Wiper Patriotic Front, His Excellency Kalonzo, who is here with us. Asante sana. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also recognize the presence of the former Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Dr. Fred Matiang'I, who is the flag bearer for Jubilee Party. Karibu sana, Mheshimiwa. Asante sana for making time. Let me also recognize the presence of the former Cabinet Secretary for Defense in the Republic of Kenya, also the party leader of DAP-K, who's here with us, has made time to be with us. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also recognize the presence of the man of the moment. The reason why we all woke up today knowing that in the evening we'll all gather here at the Nairobi Club. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us appreciate him with a round of applause. Mheshimiwa J.B. Muturi, the Honorable, ambaye atatufungulia ukurasa mpya kupitia kitabu chake, kitakuwa cha kwanza kipya katika taifa hili hapa Nairobi, ulimwengu mzima tuweze kusoma. Ladies and gentlemen, I know so many familiar faces here, but because you're pressed for time, may I just very quickly recognize just the presence of the current members of parliament who are here with us. Wherever you are, just stand and wave so that we can recognize you. I wish I could mention all by name, but because of time. Asante sana. I know we also have former members of parliament who are here with us. Former members of parliament. I know there's so many who are here. Tafadhali, wasimame tafadhali. 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 Najua Mheshimiwa J.B. Muturi amefanya kazi sehemu nyingi, lakini nataka nitambue wale walifanya kazi naye katika idara ya mahakama, judiciary, who are here. Please, whether you're a magistrate, former magistrate, a lawyer, advocate, tafadhali, let us recognize you. Asante sana. Members of political parties who are here. Tafadhali, najua vyama vya kisiasa vimewakilishwa kwa wingi. Tafadhali, tusimame tupungiane tu mkono. Kwa kifupi, I just want to recognize you very quickly. Asante sana. Members of constitutional commissions. Tafadhali, those who are here. Tafadhali, if you're representing any of those. All right? Asante sana. Nashukuru, tunaendelea kwa wakati mzuri. Mwendo wa haraka, sitaka tupoteza muda zaidi, lakini Mheshimiwa J.B. Muturi amefanya ukarimu kutualika sote. And I know we can speak both Swahili and English languages. I want to do it very briefly for 2-3 minutes. Mheshimiwa J.B., umewaalika marafiki wengi sana, lakini sijui kama wote wanakutambua kwa undani zaidi. Sasa niko na katrivia kadogo tu. Utaniruhusu kwa dakika 2 tu. Haya. Nianze na Mheshimiwa. Waheshimiwa wakuu wameketi. Mheshimiwa Kalonzo, hujambo? Habari za masiku? Uko mzima? Nikuweko kwenye spot. Tumezoea. Right. Keti tu lakini. Unamfahamu Mheshimiwa J.B. Muturi kwa undani sana?
Namfahamu kiasi
sana. Acha niulize swali. Zaidi, asante. Haya, kama unamfahamu zaidi, alizaliwa mwaka gani?
1956.
Makofi kwa mheshimiwa. Haya, wacha nimfuate mheshimiwa Eugene Wamalwa. Mheshimiwa Eugene Wamalwa, wewe mhudumu katika bunge na pia katika waziri. Si unamfahamu JB? Haya. Alizaliwa wapi?
Kule Embu Kanyambora.
Makofi zaidi. Lakini kuna neno nilikuwa nataka ambalo hata yeye alisimamia sehemu.
Pale Chicago.
Asante. Makofi kwa mheshimiwa, makofi. Haya, wacha nisonge. Profesa Kakanja, hebu niambie, kuna shule mbili ambazo mheshimiwa JB alisomea kabla hajajulikana hapa Nairobi. Shule gani na gani?
Kangaru High School.
Na nyingine?
Hiyo nyingine Kanyambora.
Asante. Makofi kwa mheshimiwa. Mheshimiwa, kumbe watu wanakutambua, wanakujua. Haya. Nifike wapi? Waheshimiwa wako wapi? Dan Manzo. Hebu nikuulize. Alienda chuo kikuu. Alisomea nini?
Alisomea sheria.
Makofi. Hakuna siri. Haya. Mheshimiwa Nje, habari za masiku? How are you, sir? Nimekuona, nimekutambua. Former Solicitor General, makofi kwake. Ananiona na karibia alafu anainama chini. Mheshimiwa, huyu bwana unamfahamu vizuri. Career yake ya kwanza ilikuwa gani?
Judiciary. As a magistrate.
Makofi. Bwana JB hana siri. Haya, namalizia tu. Ni mwaka gani ambao mheshimiwa JB alikuwa mbunge? Mheshimiwa Kembi Gitura.
By 1997 and 2002 and so on.
Is that true, mheshimiwa? Amekaribia. Sema ukweli mheshimiwa. Kama amenoa sema ukweli.
1999 to 2002, 2002 to 2007.
Hai. Swali langu la mwisho. Mheshimiwa JB Muturi alihudumia taifa kama spika wa bunge la kitaifa. Alikuwa spika mwaka gani? Alitoka mwaka gani? Mheshimiwa.
Aliingia kiti cha spika 2013, akatoka 2022.
Makofi kabisa. Thank you so much. Mheshimiwa JB, naona marafiki kweli wanakutambua na asante kwa kutupa fursa hii. Moja kwa moja basi, I want to start us off. I know we have quite a lineup for the speakers who are going to be here, but I want to request you, if you get the chance to come and speak, please, let us use anywhere between 3 minutes and 4 minutes max, so that we can get to our dignitaries and our excellencies who will be addressing us here later on. I want to start with Professor Kitile Naituli, who will be the first one to come and speak and share a few words about Mheshimiwa JB Muturi. Makofi kwake tafadhali as he comes. Professor, karibu sana. Please come through here. Sir? Prof, please come through here. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Asante sana. Thank you. I don't know where to start. I think I guess I've come the right time. But, I've flipped through the book. And what I want to tell you is that we have a rare person in Kenya, a politician with principles. Usually, I tell you, as a people, we have not been able to produce people with both a brain and a heart. I think you know that. You know what I mean? Heart, maybe my pronunciation, raw. People with the capacity to feel. This is the unfortunate part, by the way, of this country. And that is why we are in a problem. Because when we cannot decipher the difference between the brain and the heart, then we produce the equivalent of human animals. Because that is what we are having today in the country. Managing your affairs. People, they can think, but they cannot feel. Now, going through Muturi's biography, I can tell you this. He can think and he can feel. And that makes him a rare person. And I'm saying that with a lot of conviction because for 60 years, 60 from 1963 when he got independence, we have only had one Kenyan president. Because our government has a mind like you and me. It's called consciousness. So there was a colonial consciousness that we inherited. And it came through Kenyatta 1, went through Moi, and then Kibaki put on break. What is the difference between the two? The colonial mind is extractive. This is what you won't find when you go through Muturi's book. You are going to find a committed civil public servant. So that extraction, it doesn't have a stop. Because you manage the country as if you are going somewhere else. As if you are not going to remain here. That's why your friend is not getting satisfied. He just wants to sell everything. Okay? He can't be satisfied. Because it's not possible. He doesn't consider himself part of you. Okay? He is a Muzungu with a black skin. That's what you have been having. Kibaki put a break for 10 years. And then Uhuru Kenyatta came. The Muzungu mind, the extraction mind came right back. Now, what you have is extractive administration on steroid. A completely different thing, totally. You know, it's like in Zige. You just eat anything that you can touch. Now, what we need to ask ourselves, as we go through Muturi's book, is this. Why is it that we can't produce good people? Why is that we are unable to produce a feeling human being? A leader who can feel our pain. Why is that? How did we get into William Ruto? You know, one day I was doing an interview on television and I called Dr. Mugiza Kitui. I told him they are going to ask me questions about William Ruto. What should I say? He told me he has no soul. So at that time, I didn't actually understand what was that. Now I know what that meant. Okay? I know what that meant. So I hope people are going to read Muturi's biography. And then look at the journey he has traveled. Then look at the people he has touched in that journey. And the people have been able to change. And that way, we may be able to amount to something in this continent of ours. When a whole continent can count good people in one hand, you can talk about Nyerere, you can talk about Mandela, Amika Kaburo, then you realize we have a problem. So, in reading that book, what I saw is a feeling person. It's a complete person. So I would recommend that we read it, internalize it, and see what role can we play, however small it is, to make people to begin thinking, to introduce the capacity to feel pain of others. And that's where you are not going to have this kind of situation that we are in, where we run the country as if we are going somewhere else. Asanteni sana, God bless you.
Thank you so much, Professor Naituli. As I call the other guest, I'd like to inform you, Your Excellencies, later on, I'll break the monotony of the speeches and do a very, very special introduction, if you'll allow me. But before we do that, I'd like to invite Mr. Jesse Saruni, who is the Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Party of Kenya, to also come and make very brief remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I will start by requesting members of Democratic Party of Kenya to stand up. But before that, okay, you can just stand up. Thank you very much. You can wave makofi kwao. Thank you very much. You can have a seat. Our host, former Speaker, former CS, our party leader, Honorable J.B. Muturi, the author of the day. Former Vice President and party leader, Wiper Patriotic Front, His Excellency Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. Second Deputy President and party leader of DCP, His Excellency Honorable Gachagua. Former CS for Defense and party leader for DAPK, Honorable Eugene Wamalwa. Former CS Interior and Deputy Party Leader Jubilee, Honorable Dr. Fred Matiang'I, all excellencies, dignitaries, and all protocols observed. Good evening. It is a great honor and privilege to stand here this evening as we gather to celebrate not just the launch of a book, but the launch of an idea, a vision, a renewed call to order. The fight for order is not merely a title, it is a philosophy. It is a reflection of a man who has spent his life championing structure, integrity, and discipline in public service. Our party leader, Honorable J.B. Muturi, has written not just his story, but our story. The story of a nation constantly seeking to restore dignity in governance and coherence in leadership. This book comes at a time when our country stands at a crossroads, when noise often overshadows reason, when populism threatens to drown principle, and when politics sometimes forgets purpose. And yet, in these pages, we are reminded that order is the foundation of progress, and that good governance begins with character, consistency, and courage. As a party, the Democratic Party of Kenya has always stood for those same values. We believe that democracy without order is chaos, and that freedom without discipline is fragility. Our party leaders' work rekindles this message, that true leadership is not about applause, but about accountability. To our young people, the new generation of leaders, this book is a compass. It teaches us that leadership is not inherited, and we cannot inherit from our seniors. Leadership is earned. It is not a reward, it is a responsibility. And in the fight for order, you will find both the wisdom of experience and the challenge to act differently. As we celebrate this milestone, we also reaffirm our commitment as the Democratic Party of Kenya to promote a culture of reason, dialogue, and national unity. Because the fight for order is not J.B. Muturi's alone, it is ours as a party, and it is ours as a nation. Allow me on behalf of the Democratic Party family to congratulate our party leader for this remarkable contribution to Kenya's intellectual and political space. You have reminded us that leadership guided by principle will always outlive politics guided by expediency. May this book inspire reflection, restore sanity, and rekindle hope in the promise of an orderly, prosperous and just Kenya. Congratulations, our party leader. I want to thank everyone, and on behalf of the party, nataka tu niwafunze slogan ya chama. We usually say from our heart we demand justice. Alafu tukisema DP unasema ta. DP umoja na haki. The first one unasema ta, the second one umoja na haki. From our heart we demand DP ta. DP tena DP. DP. Thank you everyone, and party leader, I want to acknowledge my mentor, Honorable Ole Kenta. He was the first person to introduce me to politics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you so much for your kind remarks. Let me now invite Aisha Bashir, who is the Secretary General of the People's Liberation Party. She is also a human rights advocate. If she's here, she can make her way. I've been informed that she was around. Aisha? Going once, going twice, going thrice. Maybe we'll hear from her later on. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure now to invite the Honorable Philip Kisia. I know I interacted with him. He's the former town clerk and chief executive officer of the city of Nairobi. Expertise in transformative agenda, both in Nairobi and other places. Karibu sana bwana Philip Kisia. Makofi kwake tafadhali.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Your Excellencies, I'm also glad to be here this evening to be with my very close friend J.B. Muturi, who has penned down his story. And as the former speaker has said, I'm hoping that the story that my friend J.B. Muturi has put down will inspire you to make the right decision come 2027. Will inspire you to make the right decision come November 27th. November 27th will be a defining moment in this country. So you need to read this story to assist you in making that informed decision. This country would be a Singapore, but not under the leadership that we currently have. It is disorderly. And therefore, I congratulate my friend, J.B. Muturi, for calling us to order. Order. Order, please. Order. Well done, J.B. Muturi. And I must say this one, I must add, because I have this platform, that the 6th president is seated on this table. The 6th president. The 6th president. The government in waiting is seated here. Welcome to the government in waiting.
Thank you. Makofi tena kwa bwana Honorable Philip Kisia. Tunaendelea kunongonezana kidogo, but I told you earlier, I'll break a bit of speeches so that I can do this very, very special introduction. And I want to call on stage Madam Paula to assist me with a small interlude so that I can call my very, very good friends. Nije niwa introduce hapa vizuri kabisa. Wacha ningoje nisikie akicheza kidogo tu. Halafu mkisikia uzuri mumpigie makofi ili niwaite wageni waheshimiwa. Karibu. Paula continues, I'd like to invite on stage right here in front my wonderful friends, Leslie, Muturi, Bianca, and Brian. Wako hapo tafadhali, waje hapa mbele kidogo tu. Leslie, Bianca, and Brian. Just very briefly. Very briefly. I won't put you on the spot. Thank you. Makofi kwa tafadhali, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Asante sana Paula. Thank you so much. Asante. Msiondoke kwanza. Asante sana Paula. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Makofi. So wonderful people, these are my good friends. This is Leslie, this is Bianca, and this is Brian, the wonderful children of Mheshimiwa J.B. Muturi. Wapigeni makofi tafadhali. Leslie is a very good friend of mine. Happens to be the guy who decided to become popular and famous even without being a politician. Yeah, and his wonderful father has dedicated an entire chapter of the book on this guy. Lakini usiandike yako kwanza. Moja yako itakuwa chapter moja tu. Hai, karibuni sana. Thank you so much for coming, guys. Appreciate. Makofi kwa tafadhali. Asante sana. All right, let's continue with the speeches. I'd like to invite Senator Lenny Kivuti, an immediate neighbor wa familia ya Mheshimiwa J.B. Muturi. Nilimuona Mheshimiwa Lenny Kivuti alikuwa ameingia sasa hivi tu. Kind words, maneno machache tu kwa Mheshimiwa kwa kitabu chake ambacho amekianzisha. Nilikuwa nimemuona Mheshimiwa Lenny Kivuti hizi. Mheshimiwa karibu sana. Makofi kwake Mheshimiwa Lenny Kivuti tafadhali. I know he'll speak off the cuff. Wanajuana kutoka kitambo sana hawa waheshimiwa. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa.
Thank you very much. The guest of honor, you are writing something. I'm here to congratulate you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Right Honorable J.B. Muturi, I knew him in nursery school. You can guess how old we were at the age of 3. But we were living together even before nursery. But the age before nursery school is not a very good time to remember, because nobody remembers too much before nursery school, before 3 years. And from that time, we actually used to sit and eat together. Maybe most of us don't know, in those days, Christianity was bringing all the families in our village together, because my grandfather was the leader of the church. And so all villagers used to come in the evening, something we call it Gishukro, to pray together in the evening, and then they go back home. And JB was not very far, maybe, although it looked far, today I know it was about 100 meters from our house. And fast forward, we went to Kangaroo together, Kangaroo School. Fast forward, we went to University of Nairobi together. Fast forward, what did we do together, bro? Very many things, including going through parliament and other things, which I will not mention because there are many. So, The family of JB, some of you may know, the chapter number 1 starts with the story of his mother. And when his mother passed on, I was the family spokesman. And I'm very delighted, JB, you chose to start the book with the story of Virginia. Now, from what I've said, I could study and talk and talk and talk, but I don't think that is the best thing to do. What I will say is congratulations, and please start writing another one for the next chapter. Because the next chapter, I must say, even we are also party leaders of different parties. I'm in the bus, and he is in the DP. And I want to echo all the honorable leaders in this front table. The next government is here. And I'll also be a member of it. So, congratulations, JB. And if you don't write, I'm also going to write. Asanteni sana. Congratulations once again.
Thank you. Another round of applause for Mheshimiwa Aleni Kivuti. Thank you so much for those wonderful remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, the last speaker I'm going to introduce, and then I hand over the microphone. I'd like to invite the Honorable Amina Abdallah. She's served as an ambassador at the Sultanate of Oman, and she's also served as a commissioner of SRC. Karibu sana. Just kind words and very few remarks for Mheshimiwa JP Muturi. Thank you so much, Madam.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Very excited to be here to share in this joy of JB's book launch. JB and I go a long, long way. When I first got into politics, it's JB's office that I was told on 7th of January 2003 to go and take my ID and my voter's card for my first nomination. So I've known JB for extremely long. But I thought today, having worked with JB first as the whip in the 9th Parliament, nilikuwa mtu wake wa mkono, I was managing his flow for the party positions on bills. Then he left Parliament and he came back and he was our technical lead during the constitutional making process. And he also was working on the party constitution that we eventually used to run the 2013 elections. And I was always in those committees that JB was part of. And since he did not blow his trumpet, I thought this was my opportunity to do why I was mentioned in page 200 as the person who identified JB as our candidate for speakership for the 11th Parliament. So let me blow his trumpet. JB is an extremely thorough person. If JB read a document, a bill, or a policy, and you're on the same side with him, you knew that whatever position you held was based on solid logic. So if you're on his side, he was an asset. But woe unto you if you're on the opposite side. Because my friend JB relished intellectual ambush. He would make sure that he would share and let you know that he did read beyond the document that you were handling for that day. And I wanted to share that I was a victim of some of these ambush One time I was given responsibility by the Kenya Women Parliamentarians Association to lobby JB to support a bill. And JB kept telling me, Clause X is a problem. And I told JB, Bwana, wacha maneno mingi, just support. And he kept saying, you guys, amend this thing. And we were big-headed and we refused. Woe unto us, on the third reading, outside the order paper, JB proposed an amendment. And this amendment was a total ambush. We could not have time to marshal the numbers to kill his amendment. And the damage done could only be unraveled over 10 years later, and only when JB wanted to unravel the problem. And that is his amendment to the Sexual Offences Act, where he said anybody who falsely accused would be punished the same amount of time that the act was mentioning. Then the other area is that you'd leave a meeting, and Ole Kenta is here. We were working with him on the TNA Constitution, Nje Muturi, and of course Murave. We would have a meeting and leave in the evening. We've agreed the item we've exhausted everything. And of course Murave and JB would go to their usual Uji and Chai sessions, and you'd assume the matter is over. But 7 in the morning, JB would call you and say, you know, you guys, we didn't look at X, and we just have to unravel the whole document. And what time did he have to read again after we had already left 5 in the evening and he had these Uji and Chai sessions of his? Then I learned my final sting to JB was as his advisor when he was having a wake-up moment out of the government, and I would arrive 8 o'clock in the morning. Kumbe JB has reached there 6:30, has read everything. So I was wondering whether I was the advisor or he was the one advising me. So this thoroughness that he had were the right ingredients for anybody who wanted a person who would make sure that you're never ambushed in the legislative arm. And there's a lot of ambush there. So when I was proposing him based on the discipline, the fairness, and the integrity to processes that JB had. So I'm really happy that he went ahead and did 10 years. Friends, you know, when we started doing the lobbying, suddenly JB became a minority president for us. Suddenly we even said that he was Mbere and he was not from Central, because we were told JB for speaker would be the wrong optics. And so I'm very happy here today to be sharing and reading this wonderful book that does not only trace JB's footsteps in the corridors of power, but shares with us his contribution to the growth of some of our institutions and to actualization of some of the work that we did during the constitution making process. And now that everybody looks so serious, I'd like to just say congratulations, JB, and we look forward to the next page, next book. So thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Amina Abdallah, once again, a round of applause. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. Thank you. Thank you so much. Asante sana. Right, just a little bit of interlude. I want to change the stage a little bit so that we can proceed with the rest of the speeches. I'd like to invite my assistant, Ajani Saidie Kidogo, to do a bit of
that Raila had Ida Odinga, who is equally a fighter and a hero in this country. Karibu mama.
aje kwa kifupi tu kwa kifupi, hatatoa ujumbe wake saa hizi kwa kifupi tu. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Mheshimiwa JB Muturi. I want him to take up the rest of the program very briefly. Asante sana. Karibu sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our chief guest, the Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, my brother, the second Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, the Honorable Gachagua, my brother, the Honorable Eugene Ludovic Wamalwa, my brother, Dr. Fred Okengo Matiang'I, members of parliament here present from both houses, former members, colleagues from political parties, friends from academia, friends of friends, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I have been requested to adjust the program kidogo ndio tusikie ndugu zetu yale ambao wangetaka kutuambia jioni ya leo. I'm quite alive to the fact that today being a Friday, I'm not trying to confirm anything that Honorable Amin Abdallah said. And because in our midst we have David Murathe, if I make reference to Uji, people might think that that's where we are hurrying to. But let me begin by thanking each and every one of you for finding time this Friday evening to come and share with me the glory of this momentous occasion of the launch of my memoir titled The Fight for Wonder. Thank you very much. You know, there's something that they say, I'm sure the Honorable Senator Kembi Gitura might, or Jamle Kamau, or indeed even Murathe. You know, these are people from Muranga, and there's a reason I'm mentioning them, because there's something about Muranga. They say you're not able to shave yourself somewhere here. There's something they say. Maybe when one of them gets a chance to speak, they will tell us what that is. But I can see the Honorable Jane Kihara wants to interpret it immediately. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite my friends to come and say a few words, and then as we move on, then we can do the launch and make merry and continue socializing and getting to know one another better. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite my good friend, Dr. Fred Okengo Matiang'I, to the floor.
Your Excellency, Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Your Excellency, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, my brother and my friend Eugene Wamalwa, Mr. Speaker, and all of you wonderful people present here today. For clarity, the Honorable David Murathe, who was being talked about, is my colleague member of Jubilee, the Vice Chairman of Jubilee. Kembi Gitura is also here, and Torome and Wanja Maina. These are now recently for the business of this red shirt I'm wearing, some of my combatants. And thank you all of you for being here. Because we are not going to make long speeches, I want to start first of all by congratulating Honorable. In the 90s, in the mid-90s, I served on a small committee with Professor Henry Ndangasi and the others in designing at the graduate school at the University of Nairobi a course that we call the African Autobiography. Because for those of you who may be students of literature and linguistics, the autobiographic genre 60s and early 70s, because autobiography was mainly a predominant genre for Westerners in terms of writing. There are many theories you could go into on that particular basis, whether or not Africans didn't have stories to write or Africans didn't have to write about their lives and so on and so forth. But it's gratifying to see that now in Kenya, the genre has not only taken root, but it's very vibrant and present. And when I ran the Kenya Parliamentary Strengthening Program, as first of all, the Deputy Director, then Country Director for SUNY, and then later on, the Regional Director for East and Southern Africa. Served together a little bit. I was reminding JB now on the ALP project, TIC, the characters and the types of parliaments and so on. JB has always been a very resourceful person. In fact, I could be forgiven to say that on the African continent, when you look at experiential exposure and education on legislative work and institutional development in legislative practice that you could actually consult, very much like the big speakers we consult from the Commonwealth Parliament, like the Lok Sabha in India and Australia and so on. I remember many things. I was asking Eugene what I should reveal and what I shouldn't reveal. Then Eugene kept reminding me some of those are too sensitive to reveal. But I remember how we had a lot of discussions with JB the first time we started implementing the new constitution on how the president should behave when he goes to parliament. Because the big debate exists whether or not when the president enters parliament,
because the president is not a member of parliament. And if you look at the body of knowledge that exists, especially from the US Congress and the others, because the president is not a member of the assembly, he walks in, puts the report on the table, reads the speech and walks out without sitting down because he's not a member of parliament. Then we had a long evening with JB Muturi. And I was very fascinated by the authoritative basis on which he made his decisions. He pulled out all manner of authorities and so on. And as many of you who have been through this experience would attest, it was an intellectually fulfilling experience to see our own speaker getting into that space in a very authoritative manner and very exciting way. So here is my request to you, or my ask, JB. I'm going to, I've not read your book, so I'm going to read it now. And I hope you have delved into those issues like the ones I've said. When we have a presidential system of government in Kenya, the symbolism of whether or not the president should actually sit in parliament, whether it's a State of the Union or State of the Nation address. There are small nuances that a lot of people spend time writing on. If you look at the body of knowledge on legislative work across the world, there are small nuances that people dwell on, which are critical in terms of the formation of government and the character of government and how it moves forward. I ask you, therefore, to, beyond the autobiographical work that you have done, I would like to request you, Mr. Speaker, to now also help contribute to the intellectual body of knowledge on parliament
and what parliaments are supposed to do. Because you see, for those of you, my colleagues like Naituli, Kawanja, who are in the room and so on, recently, there's been a big argument in the academy on the actuality of representation for parliament. Who do parliaments actually represent? Because this started from the theory of no taxation without representation. So you have these institutions, big bodies that gobble resources. They do a fantastic job, but who do they actually represent? When they enact, for example, a cybercrime law, like the one that was enacted, which you can see clearly, it's diametrically at variance with the existing mood in the country and the democratic context in which we are operating. Where does representation begin and where does it end? And then finally, the history of our parliament has not been very well studied and documented. I argue all the time, and all of you wonderful people here will relate to this, that this parliament that is in office now and the honorable members of parliament who are here, please allow me to be very sincere. This is the first time parliament has not acted and actually invoked its absolute institutional mandate, which is bipartisan representation to deal with issues of the day. Because we have seen in previous parliaments, many of you who are here, Mheshimiwa Murathe, Mheshimiwa Kembe Gittura, and the others who were in parliament in the past, when there was a crisis in the country, and in fact, this is the contribution of parliament to the management of the country. Parliament usually closes ranks, they forget about parties, they come together and now do a parliamentary inquiry on an issue. When the Gen Z demonstrations happened in 2024, and what happened in parliament happened, quite frankly, from a government point of view, and as somebody who has been a cabinet minister, I thought that the executive branch of government was going to take advantage of an absolute opportunity available to them, ask parliament to have a bipartisan inquiry on what had happened, so that then they can follow and provide even an opportunity through which expression and discussion would happen on the challenges of Gen Z and what was happening in the country. Now, we haven't seen that rigorous use of the institution of parliament for the good of the country, where, for example, investigations like those would happen. And both parties in government and parties in the opposition would sit and deal with those kinds of issues. When children burn to ashes in a school here, 21 of them, you expect a complete and thorough bipartisan investigation by parliament. No, none of us here, I don't know whether there's anybody even in this room, who knows how many graves are in Shakahola and how many people died there. No thorough bipartisan parliamentary investigation. This is why there is now a big debate on the actuality of representation for legislative institutions. Who do they actually represent in the long run? Are they acting in the good of the people, or are they acting in the good of the political environment of the day? But anyway, such is life. Thank you so much, my brothers. And JB, you have done all of us proud. Continue to do what you are doing. But I would like to, because you have now shown us the way, please, I know you have a lot to offer. You have much more to offer than this book. So I encourage you, Godspeed, as you give us the next phase of this, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matiang'I. And let me take this opportunity to recognize one of my very good friends, many good friends who arrived when Dr. Matiang'I was on his feet. And this is none other than somebody I worked with in Parliament for many years, Mr. Michael Rotich Sialai, the immediate former clerk before Njoroge took over. Njoroge took over from him. And actually, after he left Parliament, he added another title. He's ambassador, Balozi. Karibu sana Balozi Sialai. Thank you very much, Fred. It's very enlightening to listen to people who have had that exposure of working with parliaments. And indeed, it's a very interesting discourse that you've alluded to. And I think when we were doing the new constitution, I think one of the things that, somehow we felt was going to capture some of these issues is, for instance, the heavy reliance and insistence in providing for public participation in our constitution. In fact, for Parliament, it is mandatory. They are required under Article 118 to do public participation whenever considering any bill, any motion, or any other business before the House of Parliament. And of course, it is already provided for in the overarching provision in Article 10. Maybe debate, and I think this is a very good challenge that has been thrown, because when we're doing the constitution, particularly you look at what you provided for in Article 95, Clause 1, about the National Assembly. You say the National Assembly represents the people of the constituencies and other special interests. Those of you who have the Constitution can check. That is Clause 1 of Article 95. I'm not putting in. I'm not adding anything, not even a comma. But good debate. That's why I think on an occasion like this one, it's good to have people to come and also enlighten us on some of these things that we will need to consider. I'm aware. I'm sorry that most of the members of Parliament are absent, and gotten an apology from both the Speaker and the Clerk that they are having what is called the Speakers Roundtable meeting with KEPSA, Kenya Private Sector Alliance, in Mombasa. But some are saying if they could sneak out, they could fly back to Nairobi. Those kind of meetings, members of Parliament cannot discuss in Nairobi because they can't get anything. Anyway, they don't like. I can say my good friend Honorable Mule is disputing, but it is the truth. Members of Parliament will not get the staff properly if you hold meetings like those ones in Nairobi. They prefer either in Mombasa, mainly Mombasa, or Naivasha. The environment there is usually conducive for members of Parliament. So that's why many of them are not here. And an apology had been given on their behalf by the clerk and the speaker. Many of my colleagues, judges particularly, obviously not able to attend because we might say some few things here which might make them shiver. But they are with us in spirit. Many of them are very good friends, people we work together. In the book, there's a lot of reference to my class of 81. So many of them have sent me messages. Tuko nao pamoja. Na wengine, they send their apologies through Amina. I think they feigned sickness, some of them. But we will deal with that at another appropriate time. With that, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite my good brother, the very eloquent former Minister for Defense, the Honorable Eugene Ludovic Wamalwa.
JB insists on pronouncing all my three names. I don't know why he insists on Ludovic. But this is your night, JB. It's not our night. I think ours here is said that on this table here, we have the 6th President of the Republic of Kenya. And when Philip said that, I saw some of you turning your heads and you said, which one? Which one? Well, so far we're about 6 party leaders and presidential candidates. I think it's only Martha Karua who is not here, but at Ufungamano she was unveiled as the party leader of PLP and the presidential candidate. Matiang'I was endorsed the other day as the Jubilee flag bearer. The Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, I think, had one of the most colorful at Uhuru Park as the Wiper Patriotic Front flag bearer. The Honorable Rigathi Gachagua is the DCP flag bearer. And Eugene Wamala is the DAPK's flag bearer. So we are 6, but the 6th president will only be 1. I have a feeling that on this table, this is where we require order. On this table here, we require order. For one term to be real, we require order on this table. I have a feeling J.B. Muturi might just be the man who might bring order on this table. I believe those of you who live in this country and those who live outside the country, the diaspora who are following this event, know that we have a broken government. From the health sector to education, everything is broken. And we need order to be restored in all the sectors across. And for that to happen, we need a leadership that can create order, an honest leadership, a leadership of integrity. People who can look each other in the eye and look Kenyans in the eye and tell them this country is headed in the wrong direction. And we must have an about turn to save our country. I met J.B. Muturi kitambo sana, but those of you who know him, I think he's one of the most honest politicians I've ever met. And he's one leader who is very principled. To bring that order, we require that leadership of integrity and principled leadership. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, the greatest of the 7 sins that he talked about is that sin of practicing politics without principle. Here tonight, we celebrate a leader who through his public service, and is one man who's worked across all 3 arms of government, from the judiciary to parliament to the executive, and he has shown integrity and honesty. Sometimes it has costed him. When we in Azimio on the streets, with the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, Kalonzo and others, may the good Lord rest his soul, and we talked about abductions, and the president said there's nothing like abductions. He's not aware. His own minister came out and said his son had been abducted. We've seen his family here tonight, and one of them, I don't know which one. Who was it? Leslie is the one who was abducted. Now, hearing it from a government minister saying, yes, abductions are going on in Kenya, and my own son tonight has been abducted, shocked not just Kenya, shocked the world. And he told Kenyans the truth, that these abductions are happening, and I had to talk to the president himself and demand that they give me back my son. And the president made one call to one Haji, and his son was returned to him. Who would have imagined a minister, a sitting minister, can actually expose a rot in a government and be as honest as JB was? It was just a matter of time before he was kicked out. I went to Embu to mourn with my brother Lenny Kivuti. He had lost his son. And when JB went there to read the speech of his boss, he was told, we don't want to hear that speech. Usiisome. And the man sat down. And when I met him later on, as Lenny was laying his son to rest, he told me, Eugene, my days are numbered in this government, but I want to tell you this. The people of this area, this mountain, have said no to this regime. And they have said it must be one term. This was a sitting cabinet minister. It was just a matter of weeks before he was kicked out. But he has stayed the course. He has stayed with us in the opposition, and he has stayed focused. I believe reading his book, we'll all be inspired to do much more than we should be doing to save our country. He is a man who would march into hell if necessary for a heavenly cause, as Elvis Presley once sang. And I'm proud to call him my friend. Congratulations, JB. Asante sana, Mungu akubariki.
Allow me once again, thank you very much, Honorable Eugene Wamalwa. Allow me, my sister, the former Cabinet Secretary for Water, Public Service, Agriculture as well, the Honorable Cicely Kanini Kariuki. Thank you very much, my sister. I recall attending at your function at the launch of your book. Was it last year or in this same grounds? Thank you very much for coming as well. Actually, at the time, Eugene, I was sitting in the National Security Council, and His Excellency, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, is my witness that council had never discussed anything to do with the issues of extrajudicial killings, abductions, and forced disappearances. As the Attorney General, he's an automatic member of the National Security Council. Indeed, at that occasion, at the United Nations Human Rights Conference held at Gigiri, Nairobi, representing the government of Kenya, and specifically the President of the Republic, made a commitment to the world that issues of enforced disappearances would never happen in the Republic of Kenya in the year 2023, July. So sometimes, when you work with that, with some of these commitments that you have made to the entire world, and then suddenly you start hearing certain things happening, you really get disturbed. Thank you very much for reminding us about that incident. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure many of you may be waiting to listen, to hear the truthful man. Sindio? Tunataka kusikia the truthful man. Because I want to confirm here. Because some people have said it, some kwa mitandao, some people who have been employed by Kasongo. Oh, this guy, what he says, what? I want to confirm. Actually, he would be the only person as cabinet secretaries and members of cabinet would run to. Because as deputy president, he chairs all cabinet committee meetings. I just want to confirm to the whole world, for instance, his vehement opposition to the 2024 finance bill. You know, I'm just here, I'm not sijakuja kupigia Rigiji Ndebe, but it is to confirm, because I've had some people ask him questions, even on interview. Oh, ulifanya nini? He opposed the finance bill when he was chairing the cabinet committee. And from the cabinet committee, he said he undertook that when we go to full cabinet, he is going to be the first one to tell the president this thing is bad. And that's exactly what he did. This is just to confirm, because sometimes people think, oh, hii maneno hapana, ilikuwa kweli. It is the truth. And even those who are there, by the way, I extended the invitation for this launch to all the sitting cabinet secretaries. I'm sure some of them, whom I've named in the book, when you read, you'll see. Some of them, of course, you know, in fact, some are in Embu. They are in my village, Lene, today. But the shocking thing, Eugene, was they finished, and you know, we have also told people, since what you are being given is actually your own money, which is being siphoned out, and actually, as the EG has severally told Kenyans, itisha, wakija, itisha. Sasa what happened today? They went and gave the women only 200 shillings, and we had told the women it must be 1,000. So they say, no, you have a balance of 800, which they didn't give, and as a result, there was only one choir, one term. That was right in our village where Lenny and I come from. It is, you know, these are some of the things that sometimes when you listen to what is happening, well, I don't want to say much. Let me invite to the podium the truthful man, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the second Deputy President.
Asanteni sana. The man of the moment, AG Speaker Emeritus, the Honorable Justin Bidan Muturi, Your Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, and all dignitaries present. Mine is just to say congratulations to JB for the great book that he has put together, The Fight for Order. And JB, my brother, my kinsman, as a student of literature, let me confirm that is a great art of work. And in literature, you evaluate content and form. At the University of Nairobi in the 80s, there were two schools of thought on what defines a great work of art. One group led by the late Professor Chris Wanjara believed that a good work of art is content, what you say. Another group led by Professor Henry Dangasi believed that a good work of art is the form, how you say it. Reading this great book, I want to confirm that it is splendid in both content and form. You have told a good story, and you have told it well. JB Muturi, my brother, is a great friend of mine. We have come from far. We were trying to make Uhuru Kenyatta president in the year 2002, together with Murathe. Those days, I used to take Uji Murathe. I quit the club. I'm still told you are taking Uji in the layer. And we did not succeed. We proceeded until we made Uhuru Kenyatta president in 2013, and he became speaker. I joined him as a member of parliament in the 12th parliament, and we've been very close. Then we looked for government together, we were in the same cabinet. What JB has written here, especially the latter part, is true. And in the cabinet we served under Gidenji, JB and I were the only true, honest people. When I left, he was left as the only one who is honest. When he left, there's nobody in that cabinet who is truthful. The rest are flower girls and yes sir. And this is a good story, and these stories must be told. I will be telling mine, but not now. I'm too busy. I have some work to do. But I'll be doing a good work on the route of betrayal as we go on. It's good to tell this story because JB tried to bring order to government like he had brought in parliament. And JB was a good speaker. Despite the fact that he came from TNA, he never became a youth winger for Uhuru Kenyatta. JB and Kenneth Marede were two great speakers. It's unfortunate the speaker we have today is a youth winger. You find him in empowerment forums giving people maharagwe. And for that, JB, we salute you. You created order in parliament. You tried to create order in government and you got in trouble, like myself. That's why we are out with you in the trenches. Because you tried to create order. Let me confirm to the people of Kenya that JB Muturi as Attorney General saved this country billions of shillings by refusing to sign shady deals that were laced with conflict of interest and state capture. I remember when one day he was in Dubai and William Ruto called me very annoyed and very angry and full of abuse, abusing JB Muturi in all manner of abuses. Wewe Regiji, tafuta hiyo mtu yako ya bere, hiyo mjinga. Bure kabisa hiyo mtu. Hii sanamu mlitoa wapi mliletea mimi as Attorney General? Tell him, nitafuta yeye kazi. I'm telling him to do things he cannot do. Tafuta yeye, si mtu ya kabila yako. Huyu Ruto anasema hataki ukabila. Tafuta yeye and tell him to sign those things. Hey, I called JB. Hey, AG, where? Boss is burning. He is all over. Kwani umefanya nini? What have you done, my brother? You are in trouble. He said I was coming. I'm at the airport, and the boss has called me. I met some business people there and signed a contract on the runway. And I've said I can't. I need to look at the document, give it to people at the chambers, interrogate, and advise government whether it's in order or not. I cannot sign. So I called the president. I said, no. Boss, what you're asking JB to do is wrong. He's on transit. And he's being given documents by people he doesn't even know to put his signature as Attorney General that it is right. And he stood his ground. He was trying to call government to order. I remember one day we were in Naivasha for a conference for cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries. And William Ruto called me to his room again and abused me and my community because of JB Muturi. Hii mtu yako ya bere, bure. Ebu muite hapo mwambie hiyo vitu nimwambie afanye. And he should not tell me anything. I'm the president. I am not a lawyer, but I'm the president. What I want must be done in this country. Can you look for him and you get back here uniambie? So nikatafuta JB, nikaita yeye kwa room yangu. JB, again wewe, you have robbed my boss the wrong way. What's the problem? JB said he is asking me to sign a deal to buy land with the funds from the Settlement Trust Fund, SFT, for putting up an industrial park. This fund, by law, you can only buy land to settle squatters, to settle Kenyans who are landless. You cannot use it to buy land for any other purpose. I cannot do it as Attorney General. Please tell him I will not do it. So I went back to him, I said, it cannot be done. And he has explained to me, and I agree 100%. So when J.B. Muturi says we need to call the country to order, he has lived those words. And he was my soulmate in cabinet. Because he was only the truthful person who is fearless. One day, when they are in cabinet committees, the president had tasked his tribesmen there in cabinet to keep him informed on the deliberations in cabinet committee by text. So if the direction a debate is taking is not going his way, especially in issues he is conflicted, he would send you a text and tell you how to take the conversation. So JB looked for me and we agreed what to do. Himself and myself, we will leave our phones away so Ruto cannot reach us. By the time he has been told what he wanted is not going the right way, to a petition. And he has told you, I would say, I rose finance bill, everybody. Oh, Muturi, I said, boss, this thing cannot be accepted by the people of Kenya and will have an egg on our face. Kenyans will not take this finance bill. He took me to task. I said, no. I told the Secretary to Cabinet, Masi Wajau, put it on record for posterity. I have said, no, it will not work. So when it did not work, we went to Cabinet. I wanted to revisit the matter. I said, boss, can we go back to what I had said? After the agencies brought a problem. The worst, of course, is when JB's child was abducted by the National Intelligence Service. And he called me, William Ruto was out of town, and said, Deputy President, my son has been abducted. I'm talking to everybody, they are taking me in circles. This is not acceptable. And for your information, if your child is missing and is suspected to be in the hands of the police or security agencies, you go to court and file what you call a habeas corpus, compelling the Attorney General to produce the person, dead or alive. So J.B. Muturi asked me, as Justin Muturi, if I file a habeas corpus against the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, whom will it be served upon? So I called Kindiki, Mr. Yesa, he took me in circles. He was in Interior. I could see he's lying. He knows, but pretending he doesn't know. I called Nudin Haji, he took me in circles. I called Mohammed Amin, Director of CID, he took me in circles. I called Japheth Kome, he was the IG, he was talking to me in Kemeru. And they were all taking me in circles. And I called William Ruto, he was out of town. I said, Mr. President, Your Excellency, we have a problem in our hands. The son of your Attorney General has been abducted. He sits in the National Security Council. He is here with me asking why anybody would abduct his son. And he sits in the National Security Council. He is a principal legal advisor to the government. If anybody had a problem with his son, it's just asking Meji, can your son turn up here? I say, this is not right. Wewe Rigiji wacha fitina bana. Wewe umenisumbua. Kila siku unanipigia simu fitina. Abducted by who? In which country? Wewe bana usinisumbue. Usilete mimi fitina. He's put off the phone. So I told JB, go and face him. He knows where your son is. I've listened to him, I know him. And JB took my advice and I alerted him. I told him I will alert you when he arrives. The minute I was told he is 10 minutes away, the choppers were alerting, I said, be at the gate. He went and faced him head on as a man. And JB Pongezi, that's the way to be a man. And within 2 hours, his son was at home. This is what we need for this country. Most people are cowards. JB, you didn't want to waste time inviting CSs. They cannot come here. They are cowards. They don't want to be associated with you because of what you say and what you speak. Let me say finally, JB is a good man. He was my boss in Parliament as Speaker. I was a first-time MP. 5 years down the line, I became his boss as deputy president. He respected me in my new position. All the other MPs we came with from parliament had nothing but disrespect and distaste for my new position. But this man here said, God has given you this opportunity, we must respect authority. So we developed a very tight relationship. And I had to pay him back one day in kind. And it's good, I tell you. After the Gen Z protests, the cabinet was dissolved. And William Ruto was struggling on what to do, bring Raila and his people in, this, that, and we let him do what he wanted to do without too much argument. And he announced the first batch, and out of the positions I had negotiated for my counties where I come from, he did not appoint anybody from Embu. And I asked him why. He said, let's wait kidogo. So, in the next appointment, the final one, he called me and Musalia so that we flank him to announce the last batch of cabinet. And he was in a hurry. Let's go. I said, hey, what do you mean we go? How? How do we flank you to announce what we don't know? No, wewe rigiji wacha maneno mingi. Musalia, let's go. I said, no, I can't. If we are flanking you to make the announcements, we must be part of what you're announcing as the usual practice. I cannot flank you to announce cabinet when I don't know who you're announcing. I cannot hear it for the first time with the rest of Kenyans and the press. So he was very angry. Then he rushed to his office. Oh, Musalia, my God. He was shaking like a leaf. Oh, mommy, how can you challenge the president? How? Please, this is not right. I say, Musalia, my friend, do you know this announcement, your name could be missing in that paper? The only person who is safe is myself because I'm elected. So mimi hata nakusaidia. So he went and brought the list and threw it at me. I looked at it and found that JB had been dropped from Embu and he had put somebody else. And then I asked him, who is this? I don't know him. You have not consulted me. We had an agreement. Who is this? Oh, is somebody says Barida brought. I said, no. I cannot be party to that decision. Because the other time, you appointed somebody from Meru. I did not argue with you. The people of Meru were asking me, who is this? I don't know. Where is this home? I have no idea. This person I don't know. So if that is your choice, go ahead and announce. I cannot accompany you to make that announcement. He said, wewe Rigathi. Hii ukabila yako itakufikisha wapi? I said, Mr. President, I am not party to that decision. How do I accompany you to announce something I'm not part of? And the people of Embu will be asking me, who is this? But if I'm not there, just go ahead and announce. He kept quiet like 3 minutes. He said, he threw a pen at me. He said, toa hiyo mtu weka hiyo JB yako hapo. This JB, you are crazy about this JB. I said, but Mr. President, this is a good man. And I chair the cabinet committee. This is a solid minister. All the other people you are putting and you have returned, most of them are useless. I sit there and I have listened to this man. And he means well for this country. So why do you want to remove him? What is it that he has done? So he said, chukua. Mimi nikachukua kalamu, nikafuta hiyo mtu na kalamu ya wino, nikaweka Honorable JB Muturi. Nikamrudishia. But then I told him, because I know you, if we go there and you announce the other name because I think that is what you want to do, I'll walk away when the press is live. So that's how JB Muturi got his job back. And after that, I was thrown away, and he followed me. I'm sorry I was not there to defend you another time. So I want to say, as we celebrate JB, this country is blessed with a great leader, a steadfast man, a great man. And J.B. Muturi, as you have been told to put order into this table. If the formula of nominating a single presidential candidate favors me, and I'm elected as president, you'll play a very important role in my government. And for having been kind to me, when you asked me to step down my candidate with Senator Lenny Kivuti, our senior elder. You know, in our community, we have seniority of elders. If Lenny Kivuti summons me, I'm a junior elder in my community, and gives direction, I just have to honor. So when Lenny Kivuti and J.B. Muturi summoned me and said, as better people, we have decided that you step down your candidate in favor of Newton Karis, I agreed with the two senior elders from our community, because that is the way things should be run. So J.B. Muturi, please take us to Bere with Senator Kivuti and call the people of Bere North to order. Because Kasongo has put 300 million shillings so far in that by-election. Senator Lenny Kivuti, you must lead us there to rubbish that money in 6 hours. And in Bere North is where William Ruto must be taught how to put communities to order. And J.B. Muturi, mi nakutakia mema. I'm sorry I've taken a little bit longer, but I wanted to tell you about this man. And where we are as a country, we need such people. J.B. Muturi and myself could not last in that government. The leader of that government is a pathological liar. I have actually serious doubt whether his real name is William Ruto. We are just too honest and too truthful. And for those we have joined hearts together, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Fred Matiang'I, Eugene Wamalwa, Mada Karua, please get used to me, and JB will be very truthful to you. And always take it well, because we mean well for this country. And for you to help this country, you must be truthful, not only to yourself, but to the people of Kenya. Asanteni sana na shukuru sana.
You heard it all from the truth of man. Si ni kweli? Tumemsikia. Before we go on, let me also recognize the presence of my very good friend, the member of the East African Legislative Assembly, the Honorable James Madenge, a.k.a. Kanini Kaseo. He was with me in the 11th and 12th Parliament. Thank you very much, brother, for coming. Let me also take this opportunity to announce that although I'd invited my sister, the Honorable Mother Wangari Karua, she is unable to be with us. She has traveled. She's traveling tonight to Germany. But she had indicated that the Secretary General of our party, Madam Asha Bashir, would attend. And I can see when she was called, she had not arrived. Asha, maybe you could come and just say a word, because it is indeed true that Mother had indicated to me that you would come and represent your party and her. Please, come ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols observed. My name is Asha Bashir. I'm humbled to be here on behalf of the Honorable Martha Karua, who left last night for Berlin. She gives her salutations to JB. She tells me, I tell you, that she has worked with you from judiciary all the way to parliament, and to tell you that this great book should be an inspiration, especially the young people of this country, to learn that with resilience and patience, you learn. JB started from the corridors of justice as a magistrate, but he never decided to do things in a hurry. He decided to take each step and walk through the journey with sheer hard work and above all with honesty and integrity. So the Honorable Martha Karua says today, let us learn and emulate JB and serve in whatever capacity, not out of greed, but out of conviction that the country and the world deserves a better place. Mine is to thank my chairman at the commission and to wish him all the best. I can't wait also to read this book. As a young person, we will learn from you. So thank you so much and have a lovely evening.
Thank you very much, Asha. MC, you want to changamsha kidogo?
Asante sana. Mheshimiwa, thank you so much. And to our excellencies who've spoken and wengine wengi. Just a little bit of interlude from Bana Mazembe kidogo tu, tuchangamke kidogo tu, and then we'll go to the final session of our speeches today. Asante sana. Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Asante. Ladies and gentlemen, Bana Mazembe tafadhali. Asante sana. Thank you so much. Asanteni sana kwa wageni, distinguished guests, excellencies. We are now coming to the final session of our speeches, and then we'll get to the grand launch, and then we'll celebrate together. Asante sana. Nataka sasa, mabibi na mabwana, munisaidie tumkaribishe the man of the moment, the former Attorney General, Speaker Emeritus of the National Assembly, Mheshimiwa JB Muturi. Let's now hear from him what inspired him to write this beautiful memoir that he's launching here today. Makofi kwake tafadhali. Asante.
Thank you, MC. Your Excellency, the Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Your Excellency, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, my brother Dr. Fred Matiang'I, members of parliament here present, both current and former, friends, government officials that may be present, colleagues, friends of friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to have you all here today for the launch of my book, The Fight for Honor. It's a good thing to have friends among the guests here to hear me speak and to share in the celebration of this milestone. Let me say, I'm happy I've told my story as candidly as I could. I hope you will enjoy reading it and that it will inspire you to help me in my mission of building honest institutions in Kenya. Thank you for making the time. And as I said earlier, this being a Friday, I'm sure you'd rather be somewhere else, probably partaking of tea or uji or many other broths. As my good friend, the former president, who has written the foreword in this book, these days often refers to some of the beverages that people take on Friday evenings. This launch is also a milestone for political leadership and political memory making in Kenya. I hope more of us are here, and even those who are not will get the time to pen your memoirs and autobiographies to give the next generation an intellectual grounding on how to do things and how not to do things. I appreciate each and every one of you who has bought the book, and special thanks to those who have bought more than one copy for donations to your community libraries, your organizational libraries, especially the lawyers, the researchers, the think tanks. Thank you very much. You bought the book. Yes. You read the book. I really love to know what feedback you have for me. This will not put me in a better position to improve in any future editions. So please don't be shy in your reviews. You already had Senator Lene Kifuti challenging me to proceed to begin doing another one. When this book came out, a lot of people, especially those from the political class, were very, very afraid. They thought and put their names down and exposed them. You know, when you are the Attorney General, you know very, very many secrets. I can tell you without fear of any contradiction that the stories I've written about my time in Parliament, my time in the Cabinet, and my time at the State Law Office are things that all happened. There's quite a lot that I didn't put in the book also. There is only so much one can say in a book that is about 450 pages. This book is really a moment of personal reflection about my time in these important offices. To my friends from campus, normally call ourselves the class of 81, I know you remember that day when we met in 2021 at my place. We sat, we broke bread, we ate some nyama choma, had a lot of uji and tea, and danced. And I also told you that I was writing a book, and you thought it was a joke. Here it is now. It's taken some time, and it's quite a lot of work turning rough thoughts into readable book that so far as the promise of being a good seller. There are many themes in the book, but there are five ones that I would like to speak about. In the first chapter, I talk about my upbringing. It's just a reminder that in my life, those early formative years shaped who I became. Very soon I'll be 70 years. There are people who help you turn out the way you are, and those people are unforgettable. I speak about my high school head teacher. I speak also about my primary school teacher, one Mr. Lincoln Jeru, who taught us the power of handwriting and how to write well, how to write legibly. That has stuck with me. And although it's many years now, I may not claim to write as legibly as I used to do those years. I also write about people who taught me values and how not to take shortcuts. Yes, I gambled in high school. I fought with teachers to run plays. I was not a model student in that sense. And I think that is why I learned my lessons at Kangaroo School. Next, I tell the story of the university years. I never at university imagined I would turn out to be a politician, a speaker, an attorney general, and a cabinet secretary. Life worked out that way as it did. I even wanted to be the president of Kenya just the other day. And here I am telling you about it. Indeed, the party I lead, the Democratic Party, has in its constitution that the party leader is always, invariably, the presidential candidate of the party in any general election, unless the party enters into a coalition agreement with other parties. I studied law and worked in the judiciary. I moved around the country, understanding the law, seeing how justice is done and not done in some instances. These days, I see lawyers complaining about delayed cases and judges complaining that they are overwhelmed. And in my days as a magistrate, I would get to the office very early and made sure that I did not have much on my entry. And even new lawyers reduce the games that you play on people to delay cases whenever you appeared before me. The weaknesses in the criminal justice system are well documented. But we can expedite the delivery of justice and make this country indeed and truly a country of the rule of law. It is doable. We probably need to look at our work ethics as people serving Kenyans. Kenyans need speedy justice. Can you imagine somebody fighting a case for 20 plus years or even 30 years? And this is not a story. There's a case I dealt with that stuck in the courts for years after I left. I'm not even too sure that it has ever been resolved to date. I also write about leadership culture in Kenya. The lowest point in my career was the frame-ups when I was in the judiciary. I write all about it. And I learned that in leadership and in politics, the backstabbing never stops. The backstabbing never stops. In the judiciary, in politics, dealing with KANU, Jubilee, and even now, Kenya Kwanza. It was constant backstabbing. Indeed, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua has just alluded to some of those instances. Fitina mingi. A lot of snakes, hypocrites. Yes, you know them. I hope more colleagues can tell their stories. Labda tukianza na Rigiji. Stories would be amazing about what I talk about: hypocrisy, backstabbing, hypocrites all over, conmen, fitina mingi. I also write about the legislature, the legislative politics, and the Parliament of Kenya. The Honorable Amin Abdallah alluded to this. As the first speaker under the 2010 Constitution, setting up all those structures, you learn a lot about change management. I write about what my friends in the media called the supremacy wars, the Senate versus the National Assembly. Some people think that the fights were personal. No. The issues we were fighting about, like the division of revenue laws, are still there. I say in the book, unless the Constitution is amended to better define the roles of the two houses with regard to the budget-making process, the fights will continue regardless of the many advisory opinions that may come from the Supreme Court. I write about the Constituency Development Fund, now called the National Government Constituency Development Fund. I say it in the book that this fund needs to go. Members of Parliament here present, please don't start throwing stones at me. I'm just saying what I believe in. I've given reasons. With the devolution, we need to get serious. I don't like it when I see many of my governor friends going to State House to, in quotes, beg for development, close the quotes. Look at the Constitution. You need to negotiate your pound of fresh. When you sit in the summit, chaired by the president, and at the IBEC, those are the forums that we have to discuss and debate issues about what resources need to go to the counties. Don't come to Nairobi to beg the president for development. The more you beg, the more you are entrenching the culture of an imperial presidency. And that we must appreciate has been done away with in our 2010 Constitution. So governors, please, stop this habit. You are taking the country back to the era beyond 2010. One of the many, of course, many of you will buy this book because I write boldly about my time as Attorney General and as a Cabinet Secretary. I know some of you are waiting to hear the stories I've told about the current administration of William Ruto. Well, these days he has many names: Kasongo, Kaongo, Githinji, et al. Many names. It is one of the worst decisions I made working with William Ruto. I thought I could infuse change from within, but I realized that the fish rots from the head. My friends in Tanzania say, siku zote ng'ombe anayechelewesha msafara ni ng'ombe aliye mbele, lakini ule ng'ombe anapigwa ni ule yuko nyuma na ndiye huwa anapiga kelele. If this country is to progress, we need to deal with the leadership at the top. We keep saying one term, and we mean it. This isn't personal, but objectively speaking, for a person who talks a big game but does the opposite, it is really disheartening. There's a saying, a quote, "Who are worse than murderers and pretenders?" There's also something about hypocrites. And I must warn you about manufactured crises. Every time you see our president manufacturing a crisis, just know he wants to eat. Just this week, we heard him talking about power rationing when the bulk of electricity is geothermal, or rebuilding the airport. You must have noticed that he's even costing the airport to the tune of 200 billion. Never mind, he was speaking in a foreign land, never accompanied by any engineer, any architect, any QS to give him these figures. He merely jumped at the figure of 200 billion. He would assign a value to a project just from thin air. I talk about this through the Kedong Ranch. The Honorable Gachagua has just alluded to it. And the multi-billion tender, which I refuse to sign when they try and cornering me at the airport in Dubai. You do not, on one hand, collect hundreds of billions of shillings and then make the government borrow its own money. And then you go to international fora and complain. Indeed, it reminds me of the remarks by many years ago by the late Fidel Castro, who was saying that history will absorb me. There are also moments when he manifestly flouted the law, and I told him as much. The English say, you cannot lie down with dogs and not come up with fleas. I just want to say that might be true because I have my scars. And lastly, I have to alert you to the rule of law, the human rights abuses, the extrajudicial killings, abductions, and all that. You do not import mercenaries to conduct human rights abuses in your country or subcontract reprisals to foreign countries or gaslight your own people for calling you out. You do not run an abduction squad in your own country. These are things we need to deal with. Finally, I explore my drama, my dreams. What future do we want? What future do you want for your children? Do you want to see them despondent, being killed in the streets, being abducted in broad daylight, being gaslit for fighting for their rights? When I worked with this government, I thought we were issue-based. But now, tribalism and corruption is on the up. I believe in the rule of law and a government that has respect and treats Kenyans with dignity. If I keep talking, I'll be reading the book for you. I don't want to spoil it for you. Read it. Make up your own mind about the book, the content, and about me. And then decide what you can do about it. I hope you come to the conclusion which my good friend, Honorable Wamalwa, has said, one term. That we need to chart a new path and a new direction in this country. You read it, enjoy it, and I hope you buy some copies for your other friends and also for libraries in your locations. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me. And I conclude by saying that I am extremely happy that our good friends from the Frederick Newman Foundation, Judy Kaberia, is also with us. I know at the foundation they do a lot of governance issues, just like several other foundations do. Thank you, Judy, for standing with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for having to read this because I wanted to make sure that I make every point that I intended to make. With those many remarks, it's now my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome on stage our chief guest, sorry, I'm also told that my very good friend, other very good friends as well, have arrived. The Honorable James Gakuya, the member for Embakasi North. Karibu sana, my brother. And my young son, the Honorable Getonga Mokonji, the member of parliament for Manyata Inembu. Huyu ni kijana yangu. Thank you very much, Mokonji, for gracing this occasion. Asante sana. And I hope I have not forgotten to recognize, is that Judy? And also somebody I work with at the People's Restorative Justice Commission, Professor Friend Ogola. He just arrived from the US where he took his presidential campaigns. Karibu sana, Professor. Thank you. I know you just arrived this afternoon. Also, let me recognize the presence of Judy Sijeni, Ambassador. Wakili Eunice Lumalas. And I hope I've been able to recognize each and every other. But anyhow, my good friend Olekenta is here. Wacha tusikize our chief guest, His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo wa Musyoka is our chief guest at this launch. You will make the final remarks.
Thank you. Thank you. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, my brothers, Riggy G, the second Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. My friend Eugene Wamalwa, the German name I skip purposely. Our brother Fred Matiang'I, and all of you distinguished friends. You see now, Fred, you introduced some people you came with, or they brought themselves from Jubilee. And because you did that, I received a request, now recognize patriotic front leaders who are here. And I think it is inappropriate because some of them have already been recognized by the man of the moment. But be that as it may, I think I saw some people are with me in Kisumu, in Jaramogi something, right? Kago ka Jaramogi. I saw Mukunji there with me and Cicely, and even those ambassadors, are they Sijeni, and I think Lumalas was there. Ndegwa Njiru was there. Did I see Ndegwa Njiru? He was there. Ben Momanyi, I saw you. Ben Momanyi was there. Mwana Mule. Who else am I forgetting? Please just stand so I can recognize you. So you don't take Senator Manzo, you are not there. But he should have been there. I think he thought he should have been there, and others. So I'm not able to see who is right at the back. Or is it Wakili Boniface? No. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to do a very simple thing, and that is to launch this book. I asked myself, JB, why did you make me the chief guest? Is it because you thought I should buy very many books tonight and to give out there? Or is it because I may have written an autobiography for myself, and the title of which is Against All Odds and which is due for revision? Or is it because I'm older than you? I think it's because of the latter. That I realize this guy is 3 years younger than me, and he's from my neighborhood. I don't know why Brother Rigiji claims Muturi for his own kinsmanship. Because if you listen to JB speak Kikamba, he speaks without an accent. Even the way he pronounced my name before he came here, that's not the normal way you pronounce my name, because he is fluent. And then his home is near Ishara. From Kanyambora, where Lenny and him come from, to Sekuru is actually just less than maybe 30 kilometers. Now from there to Rigiji's place is very far. So we share in, but I had Rigiji make some very interesting distinction, that him is a brother and I'm a cousin. That imagine Lenny and JB is brothers, but I am Rigiji's cousin. But we all felt that anybody who is feeling the weight of misrule, over taxation, is actually a cousin. I think that is why JB asked me to come and really nail it for him. JB, you're a very frank person. And allow me to tell you that Uhuru Kenyatta should have been here. But as you asked me to mention that he will not make it, I remember when we are reviewing the possibility of coming tonight, you told me you suspect if Uhuru Kenyatta had read the book completely, he may not have signed the foreword. But I think he did. And he makes some wonderful remarks about who you are. When I saw Fred Matiang'I, I asked him, have you read the book? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually now marketing this book for you. My younger brother, JB, as we call you. Because out there, we are here launching a book written by a stickler, not only for the rule of law, but one who believes in the separation of powers. He has served in both the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. One of our foremost statesmen, I dare say without any hesitation, and one who is also fearless. Even as we sat there with JB, I told him, do you remember this friend who is running out of the country, is all over the place, and is trying to tell JB and I to mention that somebody at the very high level is already received a $10 million bribe to bring in rice from Pakistan or wherever. That is JB Muturi. And so I feel truly honored to associate myself with you, and also a party leader of Democratic Party. The founding Kiongozi, as you all know, was a gentleman I was privileged to serve under as his vice president. Not that he appointed me, but I negotiated. No, I learned a lesson in life. And it's somebody, when we went, a lot of you may not know, I was also deputy speaker one time, between the years 1989 to 1992. And then I went for an IPU conference, somewhere I think in Togo. And we wanted the late Joseph Muliro. How many of you remember Joseph Muliro? He was assistant minister one time for foreign affairs. And we wanted him to join the 9-member committee of parliamentarians from all over the world dealing with matters to do with climate change. And so we had some formidable challenges from that region, some of them claiming authority of their speakers. And I coined a phrase. I said, in business, you don't get what you deserve. That is generally said. You get what you negotiate. So I learned that and applied it with President Kibaki. We negotiated by being 10th vice president. But that is part of the history. But I also learned another useful tactic. And I think that is what this Kenya Kwanza administration has been applying. And that was that in order to get Joe Muliro appointed as a member of the IPU Committee of Parliamentarians on Climate Change, we realized that our competitors had no time for us, and so they didn't care about the qualities, the qualifications of Joe Muliro. So I said, as the leader of delegation, because as deputy speaker, we'll apply the following formulation. If you cannot really dazzle them with brilliance, then baffle them with bullshit. There's a lot of bullshitting around. And because that is what really is holding this country at ransom. And it's all written and elaborated under this wonderful, wonderful work of art, as Rigiji put it. First of all, JB is summoned by J. Muturi, who wants a meeting of the Speaker of the National Assembly, the 11th edition, and calls him and say, JB, can you come to State House tomorrow? He didn't say, he said, what time is the president? And then he says, you contact Jay, you'll arrange the logistics and the time. So JB shows up, the Speaker of the National Assembly. And whom does he find? He finds Fred Matiang'I, Interior. And he also finds Kibicho, Garanja Kibicho, the PS. It's all there, Fred. That's why I said, if you read it, you have to really know that we are dealing with a very honest person in the tradition of the truthful man. And he says it there. He says he told President Uhuru Kenyatta, you cannot do this. I am the Speaker of Parliament. There's a principle of separation of powers. And he called Kibicho and Fred some very nice names there. Because he was angry with what he thought was an aggression on the principle of separation of powers. He does the same, and of course others also at the time in the book, if you read, where, for example, you see, we are making him look like a wonderful person, but the human being in JB had to face the role of Mr. Njeru. Now, in that we share. When I was in Meru School in Form 5 and 6, our headmaster was Mr. Njeru, who once became the director of education. And one time and I think that's why I sharpened my negotiation skills at Form 6, because we went on strike, and Mr. Njeru said, the Form 6, in all one accord, have decided to fail. We actually turned out that time in Meru School, the class of 1973, as number 4 in the country, because we were refusing to eat stuff we were calling fufu. But we had given Mr. Njeru a nickname of Mr. Amin. We call him Mid Amin because the way he used to walk. And he was, students always deal with their head teachers. Now, Mr. JB Njeru accused him of teasing girls and pinching them. I don't know, JB, in your years at the university or before you went to university, if that was your characteristic. These days it can constitute a very serious offense for which men actually get impeached, not in Kenya, in other places of the world. So he lays it bare, including the role he had with his Mbere clansman who spoke here, Lenny Kivuti. Serious rivalry at their level. One region or whatever. He had actually also changed his name. Read that book. It's an amazing work of art. But he actually then says there, I will not sign it. That was JB. It is out there. And they say, release my son. We have seen the story of Leslie. So JB, when you write your next book, and I want to agree with my brother Rigiji, let us go through this season. Because it's a very, very important season, pregnant with all types of expectation. And when, God willing, we get to Canaan, you will then have time to read to write a wonderful thing. I want to read a book written by Rigiji, because he has written a very nice chapter already. He has seen it all. He paid his brother in kind. I don't know how many deputy presidents world over would be able to stand up and get a president to go down when he's going to announce the names. And he actually gets them. That is the art of negotiation and also transparency. If indeed we are a government or a country that believes in the rule of law and democracy, then we have to be like Rigiji. I just come from Luo Nyanza. And please don't ask me where I got the 100 cows from. That's my own secret. Some think I keep a lot of cows. It is true. In addition to growing green grams, we call them dengu, we also keep some cows. And we went out there, and I forgot to salute the champion of devolution. Certainly a champion of democracy. The late Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. I just failed to salute because I was wearing Mukunji, remember? I was looking like you today. I really miss out just to salute him and to say the struggle continues, la luta continua. I wrote that in my remarks and bidding him farewell. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a country you all love. And this is a country we know at a critical time like this, if we buckle, if we falter, then it is like what Shakespeare said, the rest of the voyage is really taken. If we don't take this high tide, then the rest of our lives will be lived in mystery. And the lives of Kenyans will not be exactly what J.B. Muturi would have wanted. By laying things bare, telling it as it is, and I have read also as a senior counsel, I can tell you none of that stuff is actionable. Nobody will sue you, because I think you took that into account. But you also put it openly. So I'm so honored to be able to launch this book. And the fight, not just for democracy, the fight for order in our country. And of course, if you know, in the tradition of the British speakership, I really like to see there's a speaker who was presiding of, I think, impeachment of one of those prime ministers. And I said, as many as of that opinion say aye, aye. As many as the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it, the ayes have it. Unlock. Unlock is a very interesting situation. Kembe, my classmate, also remember he was a deputy speaker in the Senate. That order for our country is really what is critical at this time. And I want to urge of all of us as we read this book to unlock our country, to realize that we cannot live in a country that believes in abducting his own children, And I think in one, he quotes that proverb, JB, in one of quoting that African proverb, when an hyena wants to eat its children, the hyena looks at them and says, "You smell like a goat." We must do whatever it takes. We do not have another time or anything to squander. We have a country literally to liberate and to live the spirit of the young Kenyans who have become a phenomenon world over. Who would have imagined that the very suave Tanzanians, suave, Watanzania wanasema, badala ya one of them is said to have come through Isabenian border up to Nakuru, akasema, and I must conclude, akasema kwa hoteli moja pale owned by a cousin ya Rigiji, akasema naomba chai. Akamwangalia, akasema, akampatia kikombe kimoja na siagi, mkate wa siagi. Tanzania suave, kapatiwa. Kamaliza, Mtanzania alikuwa na njaa kidogo, akasema, naomba uniongezee. That hotel na kama, sikiza bwana, hapa kuna cha bure. Hapa kuomba, uombaji ni kula hapa na kulipa. Hakuna cha kuomba hapa. The suave Tanzanians thinking the Kenyan Gen Zs were from Mars. And you see, they even now, unfortunately, arrest Kenyans who are working ordinarily kwa mahoteli, and they think sasa hawa, they are part of, these are the people who have awakened. The Gen Zs everywhere have woken up because they are demanding transparency. Just like JB Muturi has said it, put it so clearly, that they, not just in Tanzania, in Madagascar. Did you not see Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, escape by helicopter to India? Because the Kenyan Gen Zs had said, I've actually said that example. Of course, recently in Nepal and other places. We are living in very interesting times. Times that if we don't catch up with the aspirations of the young people who are demanding change and demanding it immediately, demanding transparency in leadership, demanding good order, the fight for order. Maybe, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask us to grasp, to take hold of this moment and change our country for good forever. Thank you so much, JB. Congratulations. If I say the fight for order, I will add Joey. Joey. Yeah, you know, buffaloes. I'm a buffalo soldier. I hope if I've annoyed you, I do not ask for your forgiveness. In the spirit of JB. Asanteni sana. So we're happy to launch this book. And please read it. And if you find it affects you, that is JB for you. So we're happy to have you. Can I now move? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for His Excellency, the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. Thank you so much. Let me invite you to the booth where we're going to be launching the book officially. May I also invite all the excellencies to come? Sorry. Let's give the Excellency Rigathi Gachagua just a moment before we launch officially the book.
Kuna kitu moja nimesahau. The nickname ya JB Muturi, he is also called Anthony Njeru. Do I tell you how the name was arrived at? You heard me the other day crying at Thika Greens addressing lawyers about the quality of leaders from my region. You heard me cry and pleading with lawyers to save my community by electing leaders of high quality and integrity. So these men, we went for a function in Embu. A senator had been elected in Embu in his party. When he rose to speak, this man was an Attorney General. He who didn't know what is Attorney General, he said, Mr. Anthony General. That is the kind of trouble me and my region are in.
Asante sana, Your Excellency. Thank you so much. A round of applause for Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua. May I invite our Please, for the rest of us, please be seated because the photographers would like to capture the picture. Your Excellencies, may I call you here? The chief guest, together with His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, Mheshimiwa Matiang'I, Mheshimiwa Eugene Wamalwa, Madam Asha, tafadhali njoo. Mheshimiwa, just to guide you, all you need to do is just cut the ribbon and the rest is automatic. But be careful, we'll have pirates. I'll give you 5. 5 going down.
At the count of 5.
Going down.
We all count together. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And there you have it, ladies.